Welcome to NuttieBuddie Entertainment. The Great.
Yeah. Okay, let's do it. Okay, let's start with The Great then, and I will start with Brian on this one. Brian, what's your first great?
Let's just get
Avatar?
it out of the way. It's the CGI.
Yeah.
I mean, the planet itself, Pandora, the animals, the scenery, it holds up. It's probably better than like a lot of the Marvel movies we got this year.
Oh, for
like,
sure.
CGI wise. And it just shows you, like, if you just spend the extra time on it instead of rushing it, where you've got all these creators like doing it in 3 months with like whole teams, like it's worth it to just wait a little bit longer and get a movie that is just like pristine and will like live on still being good, 12 to 13 years later.
Yeah. How did you feel about you seem to be agreeing with him, Chris? So how did you feel about the CGI and stuff?
There's so much texture and depth to every scene. They're running through the jungle and there's thousands of individual blades of grass, or they, splash in water and there's thousands of water droplets. Brian said it does basically come down to time. But yeah, I mean, because Avatar and the Marvel movies have to be talked about in conversation with each other, because they're Avatar and Avengers Endgame were going back and forth there for a while as like the highest grossing movie.
Yep.
And the Marvel movies are the dominant movies in our society. So just think about how many, I've talked about this on the podcast before, how many, action scenes take place, at night, or, like the big fight scene in Civil War, it takes place on an airport tarmac, so they can, and it's just easier to animate all this stuff because there's not clutter. And here we have action scenes that take place in broad daylight on an alien planet, and the background is basically miles deep. They're fighting in the floating mountains, and there's just, it all looks, real, whatever, real, not real, but I just, the illusion is never shattered because it's like, it's just happening. It looks filmed instead of just obviously when your brain knows it's fake. So yeah, it holds up incredibly well, especially for, this was 2009. So yeah, they were doing CGI over the course of 2007, 2008. So that far back, even it's pretty stunning.
Yeah, the color is so vibrant too. Is so it was so cool, and because it was so well done, that kind of goes into our point about like falling into that world, escaping to that world, because you are distracted by the like awful like CGI moments or whatever, especially like for you two, like who are more like keen on that stuff than like I am.
You're completely immersed in it, and nothing really takes you out of it. With it just being mostly CGI, I mean, you would expect it to, feel kind of out, or you're looking for things that don't really fit in there, but everything just fits so well. It's, for a movie that's supposed to be set in like a futuristic like future, I love Back to the Future. I love, Blade Runner. A lot of these kind of movies, and they just feel dated if you like watch them and then like go back the next 10 years, because it's like, oh well, this doesn't look like the future or anything like that. But this movie, it still holds up to kind of give you that feel where it doesn't feel very dated even after almost 15 years. So
yeah, agreed. Chris, what's your first great?
That would have been mine. So
go to your next one then. What's your other great?
Great. I guess I'll just talk about, I thought this was, I was kind of curious watching this now, having more experience with some of James Cameron's other movies. I was kind of curious where it fits into his oeuvre. So, some of the thematic things that he was working with here, because the, kind of small brain, I mean, maybe detractors, maybe not, but people kind of talk about this movie and, it's a very simplistic plot. So people like to say, it's a Dances with Wolves ripoff. It's a Pocahontas ripoff.
Hey, you're getting into my my ugly here. So
come up with something original. Come on now.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm getting at, is that there's more going on here. So if you go back to the movies over the course of his career, you have the Terminator movies, you have Aliens, Titanic. There's a couple of them I haven't seen.
But action hero.
Not sure that's him, but I'll let you cook on that. But he has reoccurring themes of corporate greed causing human lives and destruction, obviously very prominently with this one. Humans and machines kind of blending together. What is human, what is not? Obviously, you have the Terminator movies. You have a robot inside human skin. Here you have a human inside alien skin. And then ultimately, the big part of his movies is maternal love. Terminator movies, especially Terminator 2, Sarah Connor and James Connor, the love for her son causes her basically to save his life and ultimately save humanity. Aliens, Sigourney Weaver has maternal. Well, it comes down to Sigourney Weaver and the alien both fighting for their children, basically.
Right.
So this is the summation of all those, because what happens at the end of this movie, the Earth itself basically comes to save the day. What is Earth? Mother Earth. Obviously, this is a different planet, but they need the actual Earth to come and save the day from evil. And so it's kind of just wraps his whole career up in a nice thing, So I do think it was more interesting to watch this at the end. It's not just a simple, natives versus, military evil thing. There are things that wrap up with his whole career. So that I really enjoyed watching it with that perspective this time.
That's a neat find too. I would have never watched a movie with that in mind. Yeah, look at you. You're looking for deeper things, and I'm looking for what? Come on, I've heard this story before. So anyway, but that's great. That's great.
I think if I may quick add another, one more, Chris, with the maternal love thing. Obviously, there's a romantic plot in this, but it really struck me kind of at the end of the movie when Neytiri saves him from the chamber or whatever, and he's dying. He puts the mask on or whatever. They shoot it in such a way, obviously because she's a 10-foot tall alien woman. She's shooting him. They shoot him in such a way that she's holding on to him, and it looks like a very maternal image of a mother holding on to a child or an infant. Right. And then they've started at the very beginning. They wrap it up full circle, because what is their first conversation? She's like, "You're a baby." Well, so yeah,
if you think about it, she sort of raised him into the there's that romantic love, but she taught him everything about their people, so and the way of their people. So basically she raised him as teaching him all that stuff, how to fight, how to connect with the animals, all that stuff. So it kind of makes sense, that symbolicness of at the end there then.
Yeah.
Okay, that's another great point, Chris. Okay, let's go back to Brian. Brian, you got another great?
Yeah, we had talked about before, but with the CGI, but the creatures and the animals, the different ones that they had in here were really cool. I really liked the story arc with bonding with the banshees that he had to learn how to fly on, and I really like that. Those, and then what was the big old red guy? I do think he should have kept that. Oh my goodness, Turok, yes, thank you. The Turok at the end there, not let him free. He should have just kept it, because you never know, they might come back. So
well, we know, actually.
Yeah, I know.
We know, yeah. Okay, so what do you have a favorite animal? Was that your favorite, the Turok? Or
yeah, the banshees mainly. Yeah.
Oh, you know who I like? I think underrated is those little like hyena type things. They don't look like hyena, but they were like a mixture between like panthers and hyenas. And I actually like those animals almost the best because they were kind of like funny. And then like at the end in the last battle scene, like them going after the people, I'm like, you guys go get them. You get them. I was like rooting for those animals hard. Chris, you got another great?
Yeah, I'd say the last 25 minutes, the last action scene. I actually think we could have maybe gotten another action scene maybe in the middle more to kind of spice it up just a little bit in the middle section. But yeah, the last action scene was great. Again, I would say to the people that are kind of detractors of this movie, like at the end of this movie, there's a fight between a 10-foot tall alien that's holding like a rail gun versus a man in a mech suit who's holding on to like a 4-foot long Bowie knife, and they're doing mano-a-mano combat. Like, how fantastic is that?
No, it was cool. Did you guys you ever see The Matrix? Any of the Matrix movies? Okay, so that mech guy looked like those mech suits look a lot like the ones in Matrix Revolution, or the second one, Reloaded.
The other funny thing with that, though, is that it's also kind of like the end of Aliens. Like I said, with Sigourney Weaver versus the alien, she puts on the yellow like loader suit. It's it's a little bit different, but it's also like the climax of two of his different movies. There's
roles are reversed though.
Yeah.
Right? Because the alien's the good guy in this movie, where the alien was the bad guy, huh? Yeah. Good catch. Look at you. I'm gonna give a great to the villains in these movies. They were very hateable. I hated the sergeant the colonel with the three. I thought he was really a good bad guy. And then the businessman there, Parker. Yes. Thank you. He was just so annoying, and like you're like, I just want to squish your face right now because you're just the way you're talking is so stupid. So great job of making the villains very, very hateable. Okay, any other greats? Thanks so much for listening to our review of this movie, doing the great, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let us know in the comments below what is your great, good, bad, and ugly, or if you have a problem with one of ours, or even if you agree with us. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out our podcast in one of the links below. Also, follow me on Instagram at NuttieBuddie_Entertainment. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will talk to you guys soon.